This video was filmed on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations on which we learn, live, and teach. Today's documentary is about what happens when we return to nature. When we trade the screen for a summit, the notification for a song from the birds. This is a story about nature, about the land that we live on, and what it truly means to walk upon it.
What does being out here do for your mental or spiritual well-being?
Well, obviously, yeah, like going to a hike is nice for physical health. But for me, like when I'm feeling stressed, when it's a bit too much high cortisol, I go out and take a hike and it clears my mind. So that's what it's here for.
What does hiking mean to you?
To me, hiking is a form of expression. It's an ability for us to explore nature and to explore our inner selves, to understand where our soul resides and how we feel in the moment. To be present in nature is to feel how we as humans are truly meant to feel in nature.
How has spending time in nature helped you reconnect with yourself and the land around you?
I feel like spending time in nature has really opened up my eyes to the beauty that surrounds us and just how privileged we are to live in this place. And it's helped me appreciate what I used to take for granted. And I've been able to build a deeper connection with the land, a deeper appreciation. And it's also made me connect more with myself because I feel like when I'm out in nature, surrounded only by the chirping birds or the gentle flow of a stream, that's when I can be truly introspective. And so it's been a big part of my journey of self-rediscovery and just finding out who I am as a person.
In a world that rewards speed, that prizes noise, notifications, and the relentless forward march of productivity, we almost forget that the world was never ours to conquer. It was always alive without us, all the way back, even from the dinosaurs.
Oh, sir, would you like to do an interview for us for our English project?
Sure.
Okay, so is there a specific landmark or section of this trail that feels like it holds a story? And what does that story teach us?
There was like a red bench over there that was like really cool to sit at. It was like really pretty with like the sun and like by the like river. And I thought it was really cool. Oh, the stream, sorry. And it kind of got destroyed because like the wind took a tree down on it. And like I guess it symbolizes that like, I don't know, nature will always beat something that we built up.
If the land could speak, what would you think it would say about how we treat it today?
It probably wouldn't like us. Like the red bench thing got like ruined by the tree, so maybe that's a sign, guys.
How does hiking through this specific territory help you understand who you are and where you come from?
I mean, I think like for me at least, nature's very pretty, it's very relaxing, there's not a lot of like stimulating things. So it's like a nice place to reflect on your thoughts.
From social media to stress at school, today's teens are under immense pressure.
Youth mental health in Canada remains a crisis.
Youth mental health crisis.
Youth mental health crisis.
Youth mental health crisis.
Teenage mental health issues.
What if the remedy to modern anxiety wasn't found in just a pill, nor something else, but in the rustle of leaves, the roar of beautiful waterfalls, and also the tall, everlasting trees? Every journey into nature begins not with certainty, but always with a question, like, which path am I going? How far? Am I ready for this? The trail doesn't always promise comfort, but it promises something rarer, presence in nature. When your boots meet the earth, when the city isn't there anymore, something is different. Sometimes science calls it attention restoration, but really it's kind of like breathing again. Nature really asks nothing of productivity. It doesn't require a password. You don't need a subscription for it. And you don't need signal. You just need to be there in the presence of nature. In 2019, a landmark study published in Frontiers in Psychology found that just 20 minutes spent in nature significantly lowers cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Additionally, people who spend 2 or more hours in nature per week report significantly higher well-being, regardless of your age, occupation, or fitness level. And yet, the average teenager here in Canada spends maybe over 7 hours on screens, just alone, and really fewer than 60 minutes outdoors. The path to nature is calling, but are we listening? Is the next generation prepared?
Are there original or indigenous names for the plants, animals, or landmarks we see today? How does knowing those names change your relationship with them?
You know, one of the most tragic parts about being a Canadian here, a settler here in British Columbia, is the fact that a lot of that information is untold. A lot of that was erased due to the effects of residential schools. And so a ravine here, like in Squamish territory, where they used to have seasonal fishing camps, and they used to take this area as a harvesting habitat. We see that a lot of that has gone away due to the effects of colonization, and we no longer know the names of such indigenous pieces of nature that make up our everyday environment today.
As hikers, what is our responsibility to the land that we are walking on?
You know, as a hiker, I think we should prioritize maintaining the land to not leave a really negative imprint on the everyday soil that we see in our local environments, especially our hiking routes, as these are very sacred. And I think as settlers, we should prioritize considering how the land is affected and ensuring that our future generations can experience that same joy that hiking provides us, the same relief that we've come to know and love today. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self one thing about hiking, what's one piece of wisdom you would give him?
If I could go back in time and tell my younger self one thing about hiking, I would just tell him to spend more time in nature, whether it's by himself or with his friends or family. I mean, in retrospect, there were definitely a lot of opportunities for me to do that, but I just, back then I didn't really have that appreciation for nature yet. And I think it's very beneficial for you, whether you're in nature surrounded by your own thoughts or surrounded by the fact that others are close to you. Another thing I would tell my younger self is to go on these hikes as early as possible so that you don't get lost on the way down and the sun's setting and you're in the dark. And I would also tell him to bring an extra pair of socks because you never know, just in case.
What do you like most about hiking?
The things that I like the most about hiking are waterfalls and streams in particular because I'm quite fond of the sound they make as they meander down the mountain through the lush greenery. And, to me it kind of symbolizes the endless flow of time and how we humans are transient beings, but nature remains and stays for all of eternity.
Long before all these trails were commercialized or mapped, the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples didn't just hike through the land. They lived completely within it, utilizing every resource. And every plant had a name, and every mountain had a personal story. And modern science is only beginning to measure what indigenous people really always knew, that nature can heal you. And we here live as guests, and let us please carry that with us.
What's one thing you learned from a hike that connects to an indigenous principle of learning?
I think one thing that really connects to me is that learning requires patience and time. So for example, I was hiking once and it was a lot more challenging than I thought, and honestly the hike up was very hard for me. It was difficult, but I know that if I wanted to see a great view, I had to take that patience and time in order to get there. And going back as well was a lot lighter because I knew that I learned a bit more about how patience and time can actually really transform into something great, right? In that case, it was the view that really made me really happy that I went through all the struggle to get to the peak.
So the next time the weight of the world may press too hard on your shoulders, it may be time to go outside. The trees have been waiting. The mountains have still been standing, and the birds still chirping. Go outside.